Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Ushanka Show Live, celebrating 90,000 subscribers. Super exciting. Whoa, we need to get my microphone going. Okay, that'll be more professional. So, anyways, once again, we got one person joining so far, but I hope there'll be more people joining. So, big number, big deal, 90,000 subscribers on Ushanka Show. So, I decided before I go back to work, I'm working right now night shifts. So I woke up a couple hours ago, and in a couple hours I have to go back to work. But 90,000 is a big deal. All right, so we have first people. Make sure you guys can. The sound is good. We got people from Greece. I speak no Greek, unfortunately, but anyway. So before we start, I just want to show you today, in order to celebrate this cool number. This is my oldest T-shirt that I own. As you see, it says Switzerland, Davos. That was sent to me from Davos. I used to have a pen pal in Switzerland. Her name was Tirza, and we corresponded for quite a few years, beginning like 1991 or 92. This is, so it's pretty much from 1993, if we say, it's 2000. So it's a 30-year-old T-shirt. It's kind of very special. I keep it. It has a couple holes in the back, but I don't usually wear it. It's just in the storage. But yeah, this is my oldest T-shirt. I hope one day I'll visit Davos. It looks like it's a beautiful town. So that's the plan. Wrong T-shirt. Well, you can send me the right T-shirt. So we got people from Sweden, from Greece. Looks like quite a few people from Europe, because 3 o'clock here, 1500. So it's still a good time to if you live in Europe. Super exciting. Looks like we picked up the pace again. YouTube recommended my videos, and adding about 3,500 subscribers per month. So in about 3 months, we might be able to reach 100,000, which will be fantastic. But I know I don't want to hope for that, because last time it collapsed from 10,000 subscribers in 1 month down to 300. So YouTube is really dropping. So anyway, this is the, I don't know what is your oldest T-shirt, but that's the oldest of mine. And I was so proud back in the day, because I lived in Kiev. I knew that's the only T-shirt in 3 million people city. That's the only T-shirts out there. So anyway, if you have any questions, shoot me a question. We will. And before I had someone, actually, Robert, send me email, because it's called the simple question for your Q&A. What are your least favorite things about living in United States right now, and what were your least favorite things about living in the Soviet Union back in the day? And it's actually not a really simple question. It's a simple question, but the answer is really complicated, because I thought about it, and I came to America first time in 1995 when I was 24, and then, so my adult life is pretty much, it's America. My childhood and teenager age is the Soviet Union, and then independent Ukraine a little bit. So from 91 till 99, so 8 years, 7 years, it was Ukraine, independent Ukraine. So it's really like I lived in 3 different countries: Soviet Union, independent Ukraine, now United States. And Soviet Union, I was 20 in 1991. So my experience, it's definitely different being a kid or teenager in Soviet Union versus being adult. Like now I have a different perspective, because I can compare, and I feel like my parents went through hell when they moved out of country to the city, and they tried to establish their family, get housing. So all these troubles, we lived for 5 years in the dorms. But of course, I was a little kid. I didn't know any better. I didn't know how bad it is to share a one little room with another family. Then we lived in tiny one room apartment for another 5 years. It was way better after, comparing with dorms. But comparing what the regular American family has, 3-bedroom house at least, if they live out in the country. So it just this talk about as adult here in America versus teenager in the Soviet Union. I wasn't old enough to actually bump into these different problems, limitations of the Soviet Union lifestyle. Just a little bit. I had a couple little troubles. So, like my first experience when I faced this stupidity of the laws is when I'm planning to actually be my next video when I was going to college. So I finished 10 years of school, we'll call it high school, in 1988. And since I was a smart kid, you go to college. And when I went to the place that I wanted to go, well, I didn't want to really go. I was one of those kids that didn't know what he wanted to do. But my cousin Tanya suggested, it's always good to be next to the food. So go to the Institute of Food Processing, and you'll become engineer, and you're gonna work at the sausage factory or whatever. Um, and that's when I went, applied, and they looked. You need to submit medical forms, with your health conditions, your eyesight, and of course your diploma, because they see your grades. And they told me you can't be part of this. You can't be go to our institute because you're poor eyesight. There is a law, a limit, like rules. And I was like, okay, and can I see that brochure because I want to see where can I go? And it was literally you could be engineer of welding with my poor eyesight, or engineer of electronics. So that's how I end up being engineer of electronics, because my poor eyesight, they didn't allow me to go to be a sausage engineer. And I know it sounds kind of funny, but yeah, this is how my career went. And I was like, this is dumb. I have a bad eyesight, so I can't make sausages, but I can work in welding, designing welding equipment. This is like ridiculous. So that's the first time when I really bumped into it. So I'm probably gonna make a video because it's really not easy to answer. Just a lot of it because of the age, and a lot of it now I realize more how much my parents suffered, and then I realize even how much more my grandparents suffered during the Soviet days. So I will work on this like separate video for that. As always, don't forget to like this video. Once again, if you're still missing out, my books are available on my site sputnikov.com. A lot of the stories, this is not just stories about coming to America, that's also comparison with my life in the Soviet Union and independent Ukraine. So good reviews so far, 185 reviews on Amazon, 5-star of 4.75, and like 5 or 6 reviews for my new book. So anyways, available on sputnikov.com if you want a real copy, available on Amazon. Okay, we got Irish Partisan is back. So congratulations on 90,000, going to 100. Thank you so much. So once again, I mentioned before, if you are interested in modern life in Belarus right now, it's a kind of like a hot topic became suddenly. People learn about Ukraine after Putin attacked it, and now people learning about Belarus because Belarus is helping Putin. So he lives in Belarus, in Minsk. He's originally from Ireland, so I would recommend to subscribe to his channel, Irish Partisan. All right, so I'll go to your questions. Were you in the Soviet Union in 1991? Yes, I was in Kiev, wasn't in the whole Soviet Union, so just in that place. Do you remember Metallica in Moscow? Hello from Dallas, Texas. No, I knew there was a lot of big concerts going on, but of course it was in Moscow. And, back in the day, people didn't just, I mean, some I guess people did, but something like go to, for like 600 kilometers to different town to attend a concert, that was kind of unheard of. We didn't have any major concerts in Kiev at that time. The only concert I really remember, that was the concert when Scorpions performed "Wind of Change." That was a big deal. I never was a big fan of Metallica personally. I like some of their ballad slow songs, but most songs it's a little bit too heavy for me. So I can't say I remember that concert. I know it was a big deal, packed stadium. I mean, that was exciting times for all of us. Although right now a lot of people are saying that was the worst thing that ever happened. Oh, we got Svetlana from UK. Hello, thank you for congratulations. What good street food was there back in the USSR? We had the pirozhki. What in America they say pirozhki, so it's bread with stuffing, so it could be cabbage, meat stuffing, pirashki. So that was a pretty good. My favorite were probably bilashi. It's kind of more like a flat bread with meat inside. But I remember one time my dad bought some, and then he had a horrible diarrhea. We were on the way to the village, and on a bus stop, he bought bilash, and uh, that's it. We had no Mexican food, so no tacos, nothing like that. No fast food at all at that time. So pretty much pirashki. Also, there pirashki is pavidlam with jam inside. That was good. I mean, of course, you can always buy ice cream. Doesn't matter it's winter or summer. There'll be street vendors selling ice cream. That's pretty much it. We had kind of like a more than a hot dog, but it's the sausage baked in the bread, so it wasn't really like a hot dog style. And I remember first time when the hot dogs got introduced to Soviet Union, some lady wrote the letter that she said, I just realized that Americans trying to poison us. They sell us dog meat because she said I went check the vocabulary and dog means dog, sabaka. So they sell us dog meat in this hot dogs. So that was a big kind of meme for a while. Uh, Hot dog. Okay. Do you feel more American or Ukrainian now? Well, I have to admit, unfortunately, that I never really felt Ukrainian. I was always considered myself Soviet of Ukrainian nationality. Like I always spoke Russian. I still speak Russian. I'm trying to rebuild my Ukrainian because back in the 90s or 80s and 70s, Kiev, capital of Ukraine, was pretty much Russian speaking city. It was hard to find a school that teaches in Ukrainian language. And it was pretty much when you move to the city from out of the country, you better switch to Russian language. It just will be easier for your career. So I never, unfortunately, could say like I felt by myself as a Ukrainian. A little bit in the early 90s when we had this independence and it's kind of like this national pride was rising. But then I saw amount of corruption that bloomed along the way, and I really kind of lost a lot this excitement about Ukraine becoming independent because it's just same former communists were just stealing money independently from Russian communists. So the Russian communists were robbing Russia, and Ukrainian former communists were robbing Ukraine. So I don't know if I could say I feel like I'm American. I'm more cosmopolite. That's the Russian word. Remember Stalin? You're in Stalin time for being a cosmopolite. They could put you in a gulag labor camp. But I consider myself the citizen of Earth. I would like to have no borders in the world, and people could just travel, live, and work whatever they want. And that'll be fantastic. But generally, I'll think, I guess, more American. Like if I go back to visit my family in Ukraine, about 2 weeks, and I'm ready to go back to the United States. Like I had enough. I will take care of my what I was like missing to see my friends, my family, and then I feel like I belong here. Let's put it this way. Then I belong there. But I live here already, basically what almost 30 years since 1999 full time. Do you feel okay? We got that. Who do you think honestly winning the war? NATO, United States. That's who winning the war. Amount of experience, amount of technology improvements and learning on the battlefield that American Pentagon gets right now, it's priceless, and they don't have to pay with blood. I wish they help more, but they every country it's a politics. It's all a poker game when everyone cheats. So they do what they in their best interest of the United States or NATO. So they help Ukraine just enough. I don't know what their final end game. They definitely want Russia to win. In the same time, they don't want Russia to like collapse or go crazy and start shooting nuclear weapon missiles all over the world. United States and NATO is winning this war. I mean, you have 50% of world GDP versus less than 2% of world GDP. That's what Russian economy is. So there's just a question of time, and Ukrainians willing to fight and die for their country. And I appreciate greatly the help that the West provides. Is definitely not enough, but it's they protect their own interest first of all. So yeah, are you still having problems with demonetization? Yes, and I know it depends on the topic. For example, my latest one of my latest videos. So there's a separate playlist which I gave the name Video Digest. So if I find my old videos that's on the same topic, I combine them together and I make one big, long, boring video for like 2 hours, maybe hour. And so I made the video about Soviet Jews. Like I had 3 or 4 videos before, and separately they all were okay with monetization. Well, guess what? I assembled it in one, posted, and YouTube chopped the monetization. That one has a yellow dollar sign. So it's really strange. Like individually, each video made it, whatever their standards are. Or maybe I complained and this one is a big combined story about Jewish people in the Soviet Union. So, it's like a 2 hour video or 3 hour video. I don't remember. Long video. And it's like, when you cut down monetization, the only money coming from uh, people who watching like who has YouTube Premium or members. So yeah, it's like, well, maybe it made $5. So yeah, I wouldn't say there's a problem, but there's a lot of topics that I need to talk about it. But it's like, yeah, you can talk about it, we're just gonna get paid. So I really hate this part, how the YouTube pushing you to make more videos about cute kitty cats and cute doggies instead of talking about something that is actually important. Okay, we got Colorado here. Oh, we got I wonder if I get 100 people today or not, because we got about an hour. So yeah, don't forget to like this stream. Okay, moving along. Can you get a laser surgery to improve your eyes? I obviously can get it, and because my eyesight is pretty bad, I was like -7. But I read about LASIK and I just have mixed feelings. There's a lot of people who having like double vision and other issues. Then I read that if you get punched in the eye with like elbow somebody by accident, your eye can explode. So that kind of freaked me out. So I could, but I don't mind glasses anymore. It used to be when you were young, you want to look more uh, presentable or attractive to females, then like you're trying to get contacts, and I had contacts for a long time. But now my like glasses don't bother me. And when you live in like back home, I never had a car, so you always use public transportation. So in the winter, glasses is a big challenge, because if it's a really cold day and then you walk into the warm building, your glasses fog up right away. Then you have to take them off, wipe them off. You go back outside and back inside. So that was the main problem with glasses. I remember just in the wintertime fogging up. And of course, they were extremely ugly glasses back in Soviet days. That's like, oh, some of those pictures I showed you, the birth control glasses, they call them in America. Yeah, they definitely worked, because I made through the Soviet Union being a virgin. So birth control glasses worked just fine. Okay, so next question. Did average Soviet era person know about steroids in sport? We didn't know much, because they never talk about it in newspapers, on TV. When I got into bodybuilding, kind of got interested in working out, not really like bodybuilding, but working out. Then I discovered that people use injections. They do in chemistry, that we used to call it chemiki, chemistry people. So, but otherwise, yeah, it was not well known. Then later we found out like DDR teams, East Germany was hardcore in that. But we didn't know much about it. Request, I'll be interested in video about Cossacks from Zaporozhye. Well, it's a huge topic. Yeah, that's a big historical. I'll write it down, but yeah, that's as a you know Ukrainian Cossacks from Zaporizhia. Catherine the Great forced them to move to Krasnodar region. So technically, Ukraine could call claims on Krasnodar region, because it was settled by Ukrainian Cossacks, and for a long time people were speaking Ukrainian there. So Ukraine could go and protect Ukrainian-speaking people in Krasnodar region, although over 3 generations they pretty much forced Ukrainian out. They killed Ukrainian language there. Kazaki. Okay. Any interest of doing video on a daily life in the Baltics? I need to talk to people who used to live there. I visited Baltic, I think it was Latvia, one time back in 1987. We went to Riga and we stayed there for a week. It was great times. I enjoyed it immensely. It's definitely, I get the different flavor. Their life was different, lifestyle, and just it felt more Western. And the biggest shock was while visiting Riga, they had a controllore on the public transportation, so that people who check your tickets. Like in Kiev, in whatever 20 years, I maybe saw 5 times people getting on the bus or tram and they check, make sure you have a ticket. Because we had our public transportation. We didn't have like here in America. They let you go in only through the front door, and now people use phone apps, but before you drop change, then only after that you can get in. In Soviet Union, all 3 doors wide open. You get in, you get out, and then you buy a ticket or from the driver or in advance from the kiosk, and then you use composter. And I have a video on my channel about it. When we got to Riga, we tried to ride the bus without paying for it, just old habit. Ride like a rabbit, we call it Zaitsam. And there's the controllers everywhere, and they want 1 ruble fine. The cost of ride is 5 kopecks, so 5 cents, and then a fee is 1 ruble, $1 to if you didn't. Oh man, that was not cool. I remember I was really shocked. So if I can get in touch with somebody who lives in the Baltics and maybe have parents who remember, I was probably quite similar. Just generally, Baltics kind of were tend to be supplied better with clothing and food. They were more self-sufficient, I guess. But otherwise, that was probably pretty close. That what we had in Ukraine. Scorpions would have been cool back then, though. Oh yeah, Scorpions, man, that was a for the foreign like rock bands. I was not really in rock music, so I like more like ballads. And so Scorpions, yeah, Wind of Change. Can't think any other couple ones, but yeah, that was a big deal. We truly enjoyed it. Not as much as Kino, like that the Soviet band. Kino was the best, especially when you understand the words. Okay, next question. What did people do on the weekends? Great question. It depended. Was really not much to do. Of course, it depends if you live in a city or in a country. Like my grandparents, they had to work their garden. They had to feed their pigs and cows and take care of the place. So they had to work pretty much all the time, even being retired, because that's your pension is so tiny. So the only thing my grandma didn't do on Sundays, like she never used anything like needles to fix any clothing, because it's a bad thing. They didn't go to church because they closed the church in that village. My family, I mean, I didn't need my parents to entertain me. That's the one thing I guess you could say good about Soviet, like living in a Soviet city. You live in a big apartment building, so every apartment building had, I don't know, 20, 30 kids, different ages. So there's always somebody to play with. When you just go outside and you play all day, do stuff. So on the weekend, why my weekend was short, only one day, Sunday, because we had to go to school on Saturday. So yeah, we sometimes went to zoo. Didn't do much later on. Like my family wasn't really active in this type of entertainment. My dad will be, reading newspaper, watching some sports. My mom will be cooking. Maybe we'll go to circus once in a great while. I only went a couple of times that I think of. But there are people who are more active, like they do tourism. So they will ride bikes out of the country and they camp somewhere for the weekend, or just go fishing. There's some people were into fishing. Once again, if you have a car, you're lucky one. So in the summer, there was something to do outside the city. But yeah, like level of entertainment was so much like here was hardly not many concerts, some sport events, but not that many. Because like I see here in America, my goodness, we have a basketball league and a hockey league and baseball league and that league and football. So it's like constantly keeping people busy, entertaining them. So yeah, it was a, and of course, you need to understand we reached equality in the Soviet Union by making everyone poor. And when you're poor, it's hard to, you need money to be entertained, to entertain yourself. And when you have a lot of money, you don't really can afford like a lot of entertainment. Maybe just that's how a show start drinking. So I don't think my father maybe had a little bit on the weekend, but wasn't was didn't have this Friday night bars either thing going on. So okay, we got another donation from Hunters Farmer. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Keep up the good work. Well, we're trying. Thank you so much. So once again, we got almost 100 people. So if you join them today, I'm showing off my oldest T-shirt from 1993. So it's a 30-year-old T-shirt I got from my pen pal in Switzerland, Davos or Davos. We say Davos. So okay. Paul commenting, you're so close to a plaque. Yeah, I mean, it's still got 9,000 to go, but I'm excited. Thank you so much. Congrats. Uh, there's a comment, я учу украинский, well, я вивчаю, probably will be correct way to say it. Я вивчаю українську мову. Дуже добре. As I said, I'm trying to restore my Ukrainian language because languages, if you don't use it, they just fade away. So I'm trying to think more in Ukrainian, talk about to myself. One of those weird people that sometimes talk to myself. So I've tried to talk to myself into Ukrainian and kind of catch up with words because Ukrainian and Russian are pretty close. So if you are a full-time Russian speaking person, there's you kind of tend to use, if you don't know the word, you just use Russian and you're Ukrainian, and it's sometimes not a good thing. Was ice hockey big in your day? Yes, because I lived in Kiev and we had a really good hockey team. Again, really good, relatively speaking. I made a video a long time ago. Sports in the Soviet Union was more capitalist than in United States. United States, they made it socialist way. They allow the weakest teams to pick the best new players in order to level the field. Because if you think if American sport will be growing and developing the way just like a regular capitalist enterprise, you'll have one or two strong teams, and the rest will be, barely playing because the richest team has the best players, gets more money, has better players. So that's how we have Coca-Cola and Pepsi holding pretty much most of the market. You have used to be General Motors and Ford holding the most car market. Even in carpet industry, I don't know if you're familiar, there's a show industries and mohawk industries holding. So this is how the capitalism work. You have it will be only one, but because they made the law about monopolies, now we have duopolies, right? But in sports, they figure out there's not much interest to be in sports if you have one team from New York that always takes Super Bowl. The rest of the country be like, yeah, whatever. So this is what we had in Soviet Union in ice hockey. We had a Red Army team, CSKA, Central Sports Club of Red Army in Moscow, and they took all the best players from the country. It's army. So if a young kid shows like he's a good player, guess what? When he turns 18, he gets drafted, and he goes to CSKA to Moscow. Hey, there's a nice apartment. We'll make you officer. You're a junior lieutenant, and go play hockey. You know. So the hockey was not fun in that regards because that team comes to your town, you have no chance. You'll be lucky if you have score even. So that was the problem with ice hockey. It was really popular in our town, but when you play some other team same level like Traktor from Chelyabinsk, so Sokol Kiev, hawk like a bird, right? So yeah, it was a big deal. We like to watch it. I went even once with my dad to watch it like live in the stadium. It was a different experience because I watched so much on TV. My brain was programmed to see, if you miss the goal, you can watch repeat. And there I'm watching, and our guys scored, and I'm waiting to watch repeat. And then I realized there'll be no repeat. It's a live game, it's not TV. All right, so we're almost at the 100 people watching. Thanks for joining. Don't forget to like. We might reach to 100 people watching, maybe 100 likes. And the only difference was soccer. Soccer, our communist leader of Ukraine, Sherbitsky, Yuri Sherbitsky or Vladimir Sherbitsky, I think. He was a big soccer fan. And our team in Kiev was called Dinamo. So that's the cops, police team. So you could also draft people into military, but into police force. So that's how he was preventing from Moscow guys stealing our better soccer players, because just for the apartment in Moscow, pretty much any player would go there. So he was working, fighting hard Moscow to keep the best players in Kiev. Of course, we were draining the whole Ukraine for the better team. So because I lived in Kiev, that was fun because my team was Dynamo Kiev, was super strong team. We took gold medals many times in the Soviet championship, soccer championship. It was fun to watch because when teams from Moscow come, Spartak, Dynamo, or CSKA, there will be real game. There will be real fight. But hockey was popular, but was not fun in that regards. It was only fun to watch hockey when you go play against Canada or play against United States because then it's tense. All right, are you drinking vodka? Vodka. Да. I can't say I drink it, but I don't drink beer. I don't like beer. Don't touch beer at all. I do drink vodka once in a while. I kind of get softened, and I prefer a Bloody Mary. And while we're on the topic of vodka, might as well. So I showed you my 30-year-old T-shirt from 1993, and this is a bottle of vodka that I have from 1982. My father one day bought it. This is a special edition. They celebrated 1500 years since Kiev was founded, and they made this special vodka for that called Древнекиевская, Ancient Kiev vodka. And when my dad purchased it, of course, he bought it to drink it, but I begged my dad not to drink it and leave it for my wedding. So we're supposed to open on my wedding, but the way my life went, I got married in the United States, and my parents couldn't come, and the bottle was in Kiev, so I never had a chance to open it. I kind of considered maybe opening it for the 100,000 subscribers on YouTube channel. I didn't decide make my mind yet, but this is and it's probably, I don't know, vodka usually don't keep well over many years, and this is what, 82, it's 40 years old. It might worth a lot of money for some collector, but originally the price was, it was expensive, 10 rubles. So my grandmother pension in 1982 was 12 rubles a month, and this bottle of vodka was 10. So it was actually very expensive. Wow, I'm surprised my dad bought it, and I'm surprised he agreed to keep it. So I still have that. It's like the biggest sentimental value from those days. I remember the day. It's one of the problems with me. I maybe don't remember what happened to me 2 weeks ago. I still remember the day we bought this vodka. I remember the store, and I remember just being so impressed with the look of. It's kind of like this old-fashioned bottles we used to have in Ukraine. This green glass, kind of square, and I remember begging my dad not to drink it. And one of those cases, he agreed not to touch, and I still have it. So maybe I will open it for 100,000 subscribers because it's got a big deal. So yeah. All right. Well, we all over the topics on this. Got to talk about drinking. Are Ukrainians getting tired of the war? I bet it's already what we got over a year and a half almost going on. So definitely there's 100. I don't know how many thousands of Ukrainians gave their lives. So everyone is getting tired. But Ukrainians have no choice. Putin wants to destroy Ukraine. He wants to make Ukraine disappear from the map. He wants the Ukrainian language disappear. Like if you listen to those guys and on the TV shows in Moscow, they like it's pretty much genocide. They say Ukrainians are just uh, like bad Russians, so we're gonna make out of them good Russians. So Ukraine has no choice. They have to fight and have to defend their country and their national identity. It's not a question being tired. Yes, they're tired, but they have to win. I bet you great patriotic war. Soviet people were tired of 5 years of fighting Germans, but it won't be like, yeah, you know what, we're tired. Let's pack bags and go. That was a fight against you know survival pretty much. A regime as well. So it's not about being tired. Okay, moving along, see what else. There's a comment from Central Mass, Center Mass. I just want to say, love this channel. I'm the same age as you, so I have a same perspective, but from the US. My degree is Russian history, so this channel is even more enjoyable to me. Thank you so much. I got quite a few comments, people who studied Russian language or Russian history, and they find my stories interesting because it's not what you're going to find in books. And of course, I appreciate especially people who studied history, they're familiar with a lot of, but now I'm kind of filling those cracks that, of course, American professor who learned Russian history from another American professor who read the book from someone who went to, Soviet Union back in the 60s. I think I'm kind of bringing a little bit more updated information from my personal experience. So thank you so much for that comment. Hey, we got 100 people watching. Don't forget to like it. Maybe we'll get 100 likes. Da, da, da. Next, will you do something about Crocodile Gena, Chiburashka, Starucha Shapakliak? So there's a question about the popular Soviet era cartoon. I personally didn't like that cartoon. I thought it was kind of goofy. Wasn't action packed, let's put it that way. It was a little bit kind of, I don't know, a little bit boring, but yeah, it's a pretty good. That cartoon, let me write it down. Crocodile Gena. So yeah, that cartoon, what it did for the Soviet Union, for the Soviet children, it introduced our version of Happy Birthday song. We never had Happy Birthday song, believe it or not. So they had a song in that cartoon, and that became a birthday song. Although it's just a cartoon song, and it's basically like, unfortunately, birthday happens only once in a year. In that tune, it became, we would sing that song as the birthday song, although it has nothing happy birthday to you, like personally to the person who has a birthday. It's just general song about birthday, and that became our birthday song. And it's like, I can still remember the words. Пусть бегут неуклюже пешеходы по лужам, а река по асфальту рекой. И неважно прохожим в этот день непогожий, почему я веселый такой. See, like, it's still there. Yeah, it became one of those songs. So that's what the biggest thing that show did. It's not action packed. It's kind of slow moving, and it's a toy style cartoon, not the drawing. But that brought us the birthday song. Okay, moving along. So we return to the topic of the war. Western military-industrial complex is barely able to keep armed forces of Ukraine afloat while they reach the bottom of the barrel for their available manpower. No, bottom of the barrel, you're just repeating Russian propaganda. I mean, population of Ukraine is what, 43 million people. There's a lot of men of the so there is no conversation about bottom of the barrel except for the Russian propaganda, because that's what their new talking point, that Ukrainians just dying for nothing. They just should lay their weapons and let the Russians do whatever they want to do. As I said, unfortunately, it's hard to help. It's hard to help someone who drives Lada if you bring parts for Chevy. Ukrainian military was always pretty much scaled down, got it version of the Soviet army. Soviet equipment, Soviet strategy, Soviet training, Soviet looking uniform. That's why, they have to wear like green bands or blue bands, and Russians wear white ones or red ones because they look the same. They talk Russian language or Ukrainian. So this is the worst, one of the weirdest. It's pretty much, you can almost say that it's a civil war, because it's Ukrainians and Russian speaking Ukrainians and Russians fighting one side versus Russians and Yakuts and all other nationalities that live in the Russian Federation. So it's hard to help. Yeah, you can send a Ukrainian army ammo, but the caliber is wrong. They have a Soviet era cannons. Americans don't manufacture that stuff, so they had to scramble and buy it somewhere else. I see how the challenge is. if Ukraine would switch to the NATO standard, 155 caliber cannons and other stuff, it will be way easier to help. It's just like you helping something that you just really don't have tools. Even spare parts. Yeah, you give them a bunch of those Max Pro trucks or Humvees, but we don't have tires. Everything needs to come in, even oil filters. If you're trying to change oil in a Humvee, Ukrainians don't have that. This is the biggest challenge. Of course. So that's, I think, the problem. Ukraine's slowly switching to NATO standard, but I wish that helped more, but I was telling my Ukrainian friends way back, like, don't count on America much because, they more active in protecting democracy in the countries that have a lot of oil. When Iraq attacked Kuwait, America was there, Operation whatever, the Desert Storm and Operation Iraqi Freedom, no time. Ukraine, yeah, we'll send you a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And of course, after that big giant fiasco in Afghanistan, I kind of understand why America reluctant to help, because they, spent billions or trillions trying to teach Afghan army to fight, and it was complete fiasco. So, all right, so we got another my longtime supporter, Andre Fised. By the way, if you guys like what I do and you feel generous, you can become a member of this channel. There's an option, of course, it will cost you money. Welcome to capitalism. But I quite often post videos that you will have a preview and you watch it before it'll be public. Sometimes I just don't, some videos that I don't want to show, I'll be making some more I'll say controversial videos that won't be available to general public, just my Patreon supporters and my channel members. So that's another option. If you want to support my work, besides buying my books, is to become a members of my channel. And unfortunately, I'm not good at merch. I wish I can come up with something that will be interested of you. But I honestly, I'm so busy with my everyday life work and making videos that I just don't have time to come up with anything that could be interested to everyone. To have fun with some kind of, nagruska t-shirts or what, I don't know. Sometimes I'm thinking about it and it come up. But anyways, back to Andre. He's from Canada. Thank you so much for your donation. How did people in the villages deal with mosquitoes without screens on the windows? I went camping near Niagara Falls last week. Is with the rainy weather this summer, I'm covered by the bites. Actually, I have a video about it, Andre. I'm surprised you missed it, but someone asked that question about mosquitoes, and in the big cities wasn't that much problem, because mosquitoes need areas when they can multiply. We had some problems in our building because our basement in our 9-story apartment was always wet, was leaky pipes, and that's what the mosquitoes were. uh, we did not have mosquito nets, but people were buying, keep on forgetting this, so it's gauze, right? Gauze. So used for medical terms is that fabric, light color see-through fabric, and that's what we used instead of mosquito nets. Like, I'm kidding, no, you're not. That's what people will buy, and they go to the drugstore, apteka, and buy a roll of gauze, but they use it. They will nail it carefully to block. And of course, can't do big window because it's a fabric. It's soft and it can get wet. But if you had little fortachka, little tiny windows, so our windows won't be here like in America's two big ones. There'll be big window, and then there's a little tiny window that opens, and you can open that. That's what you put that. And I have a link. Let me see. But yeah, we didn't have a bug spray. So yeah, my summer that was pretty bad in northern Ukraine. I'm putting right now. They will still sneak in the building in our little house. So in order to fall asleep, like, it's all my memories about summer in the village. I enjoyed it a lot, but it's constantly mosquito buzzing. So I will stick my legs out from the covers, and I try to cover my head as much as I could, so mosquitoes will be on my legs. And I actually have somewhere in my, I have kept a diary. So this is my diary that I started keeping from 1982 till 1984, and then all the other years. And then we went to Azov Sea. It's actually, I made even a little illustration. How about that? So I have a ride that I was crying because my legs were so destroyed by mosquitoes. They were red, with all these bites, itchy. So yeah, that's one other thing that spoils my memories about staying in the village is the mosquitoes. But yeah, it's super boring, super boring diary because it's pretty much I woke up at 9 o'clock, I brushed my teeth, I washed my face, I went to see my friends, we went mushroom picking, I found 5 mushrooms. We went to the river, I caught some fish, 5 fish or 10 fish. I wrote down every. It's crazy. I was really a weird kid. But I'm thinking one time when I'm gonna run out of topics, I just gonna do the translation of this. But yeah, it's see, I should be in journalism, but yeah, it's right. Keeping diaries from 82. I was 11 years old. Yeah, this is my very first June 1st, 1982. My happiest moment when you go to village and you have a summer break. So this is my handwriting, and once again, I want to remind everyone I'm a lefty that was switched to the right hand. So this is my handwriting, and it's kind of interesting to see how my handwriting was changing over the years. Let's see, we'll go to like 89. So, and then I was kind of goofing around trying to make word July in different kind of ways using different figures and all that. So, anyway, so yeah, mosquitoes were a big problem. Yeah, no bug spray, no really good mosquito nets. My dad suffered a lot. His skin is really like thin, I guess, fair. So he will be attacked first by mosquitoes. He always suffered. All right, we got another donation from Petculescu Tudor, and his donation in DKK. I'm not sure what currency is that, but thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Like your name looks like you're Romanian. During the 90s, have you met or encountered any Romanians in the States? What did Ukrainians think of Romanians during the Soviet Union? You are awesome. Thank you so much. No, I never met any Romanians when I lived in Kiev. I like to listen Romanian radio though. When I was in the village in Kiev, you couldn't catch it, but I was in the village, you can catch. And I still remember Aci Bucurest România Ora Exacta. And they played really good Western music. So that was my thing. Early morning or late in the evening, you can catch Radio Bucharest. And they played some good stuff. So that's what I remember about Romania. What did Ukraine? Well, I can't say what Ukrainians thought about Romanians. We have a little bit of ugly history. Every border nations have an ugly history, right? But generally, Soviet people, because of the Soviet propaganda, were thinking really bad about Romanians because you guys took the German side and actually sent troops into the Soviet Union during the Great Patriotic War. But of course, only not long ago, I was like, well, Stalin actually occupied Romanian territory, gave them ultimatum, like, give me this, otherwise I'm gonna attack you. So it's like being mad at Romanians, it's like it's not like you didn't do anything. Like, hey, I'm not sure why he's punching me in the face. Yeah, sure. I told him I was gonna punch you in the face if you give me your girlfriend. But it's not the reason for you to beat me up. So yes. And I don't think I ever met any Romanians here. I met one girl in camp when I work in a summer camp, which my books is about American Diaries. There was one girl from Romania, but she had blonde hair. I usually kind of picture Romanians. They look, for some reason I'm thinking like it's and I apologize, but I have to say it. Like I'm thinking Romanians, I always think about gypsies. I don't know, maybe it's not because Roma, but it's just like we knew the country was always poor. Uh, and I wonder why Romania was so poor because for a long time, the Romania was making a lot of money, country at least, selling oil because that was like number one oil producer in Europe for a long time. So, anyway, so okay, we're going back to your questions. There's another donation from Stinky Puss and a question: where do you keep the nuclear vessels? I'm not sure what is your question. I don't have any myself. Uh, but nuclear, like if you're talking about Soviet nuclear submarines, they're in the north usually. That's around Arhangelsk, Murmansk area. That's what they keep theirs. Okay, so I'm just trying to return back to your questions. Okay, we got crocodile. So yeah, we got about 10 more minutes. Hey, let's see if we can get to the 100 likes. We need 12 more. If you just joined the show, please don't forget to like it. Hello from Missouri. Hello. Is there a Ukrainian or Russian sweet brand of chocolate that I can buy my Ukrainian coworker that they might like? She's probably about your age and she lived in the US for 15 years. Well, you definitely don't want to buy any Russian chocolate for Ukrainian coworker right now because they might don't like the whole concept. Um, the most popular Ukrainian brand uh, would be Svitoch. It's probably available on Amazon or maybe available online. Or there's one called Rocher. I think it's Rocher. It's actually our former president of Ukraine, our Poroshenko. He actually was so-called chocolate king. He had a factories making chocolate, and he made the name of the brand. His last name moved around, so he's Poroshenko. So he made a brand called Roshen instead of Poroshenko. So it's a okay. So he just took Po out, so Roshen. And I can't say it's a good chocolate, but it's pretty much was holding most of the market. And I think Sweetage what got purchased by Nestle. And you can look it up on Amazon. I just posted the brands below. Okay, let's see. There's a comment. So if you watch my recent video I posted today about, hey, 106 likes, thank you so much. I appreciate it. That's awesome. About the advertising for the toothpaste from 1920s was the black person says it's almost identical one that 10 years ago in China. I guess I didn't think about it, but yeah, I guess the teeth look whiter on the dark face, so that's probably was the reason why they did it. But it's definitely look weird because back in the day it was hardly any black people in Soviet Union, if next to none. So using a black person on the toothpaste advertising for Soviets or Russians in Moscow was really strange. Picture you have a Iceland and have using Asian person or some other nationality which you don't have. We also have a donation from Robert Travinchek. Thank you so much. I appreciate your help and your support. There's a comment. I have a premium for no ads and knowing it pays the creators of watch regardless of monetization, but it does suck. Well, that's YouTube is the commercial organization. They want to sell you advertise and they fight for your eyeballs and they kind of steer creators towards the topics that make more views and they can advertise more and make more money. I mean, I made some videos which I thought was super important and I checked like, oh my goodness, in 4 years it still has only 6,000 views and I thought it was topic, but YouTube will just not don't show it any searches. I don't know how they can block do this shadow banning, but there's a lot of videos which is like, man, this is an awesome topic. I don't think it's been covered before. 6,000 views in 4 years, and then I see some totally silly videos raking millions. It's frustrating, but I'm okay with it. I'm having fun. Besides, I'm glad I can bring new information to people who need it, who want it, and I'm having fun. So that's most important thing. And if I don't have enough fun, I have a secret recipe how to cheer myself up. It hurts my feelings when people don't like the truth. Uh, there's a big problem. It's people like information that it connects with them on an emotional level, and that's this huge problem. Okay, you have a choice. Like there's apparently a YouTuber called Finnish Bolshevik, which I find really hilarious. It's almost like to be a Finnish person, Finn, and to be Bolshevik, it's almost like being a black person who were pro-slavery. It's like, how is it possible? What Stalin did to Finland is blows my mind that you still want to subscribe to that ideology. you know but anyway, he has a YouTube channel, and he makes a lot of videos where he basically debunking. So there's pretty much Gulag was a almost just a work camp, just people go to their work. And this Reddit channel that I recently posted comment from, they like, if you use word gulag in any comments on that subreddit, automatically Autobot comes up and he throws at you gulag is wasn't that bad, wasn't that horrible, and this is links to Finnish Bolshevik. Like, out of all people, you'll give you know it's like proving that Earth is flat, and given said, yeah, read the Bible. It tells you, the roof is flat, Earth is flat. It gives like links to the Bible. Yeah, but it tells you that God puts him on a tower so he could see the whole everything. I was like, yeah, good reference, sure, but it doesn't mean that Earth is flat. But there's people, they just like, yeah, you see, like you probably should research more the other side and see like Solzhenitsyn, like, oh no, he's a liar. He actually went through Gulag. He did research on that before Google was out there. Like, you know, I think everyone needs to read Gulag Archipelago, but you need to also understand it's not it's like research book, and it was done like he talked to people while being in the labor camps. He talked to people after who was in labor camps, and he gathered all this information. And now all you need to do, just enter every time he mentions, okay, there was this criminal case, Shahtinskaya дело. You just punch it, and there's articles on it right now. He wrote about it before, when it was unknown, or just kept hush hush. So telling that he lied is like, oh my goodness, it's crazy. How can you say that? Okay, we got another donation from James, and question: did you see the Little Vera movie when it came out? What did you think of it? It's actually a good question. I'm planning to make video, but anyways, if you're not familiar, Little Vera was the very first movie on the big Soviet screen. It was still Soviet Union. They actually showed intercourse, showed sex on this big screen. Wasn't, you know, porn anything style, but it's actually is a girl riding the guy. And yes, I remember that. I don't remember much movie. I need to watch it again. The movie itself is very depressing. If you guys want, I can make a quick link. Apologize, очень маленькая Вера. But yeah, it was a definitely, it was a different way of portraying Soviet Union. So that's a lot of people went to watch it. I went to, and I find it for you. I'll put the link. It's still there. 2 hours 8 minutes, and the main character, that girl, she was really pretty. But the movie itself is super depressing. It just shows the life of the youth in this industrial city in Ukraine. Actually, it was filmed in Melitopol. You all know that name now. Um, okay, here we go. But that part, I still remember, because I told you, because of my, I was very shy person, and I had my birth control glasses. We're watching the movie, and there's this scene. This girl is riding the guy, and I remember I was like, it dawned on me they having sex, and it was just like, it was like I was shell shocked. just to see that. And it's like don't remember the exact part. I don't think they were really naked because I think she was dressed because they're in an apartment of his parents or her parents, so they're afraid that mother or dad can walk on them anytime because they're in a separate room. So they all dressed, but they having sex. But I remember that shock when I realized, like, oh my god, they having sex. That was like, I don't know, it was strange. Wasn't excitement. It was like almost like I almost was like a monk that was saw something I'm not supposed to see. Then later on, I enjoyed 9.5 weeks of watching Mickey Rourke and Kim Basinger, and I truly enjoyed that movie. But that was first time ever I actually saw like portraying actual sexual activity on the big screen, and I was shell shocked, sex shock. All right, we got another donation from one of my generous supporter, Koala. Happy 90,000, Comrade Sergey. I heard the news that Ukraine is removing the Soviet emblem in Kiev Motherland Monument and replacing it with Ukrainian trident. What are your thoughts? So, if you not know, uh, as a part of this whole celebration or marking the end, the World War II, which we never call World War II. West did the World War II. Soviet Union did Great Patriotic War. It was just Germany and us, and it was the rest was just a secondary thing. So that's what the biggest fight was, and that's what how the Soviet Union destroyed fascism. So they made three huge monuments that kind of logically interconnected. So first one is in Volgograd, Russia, on the Volga River, or back time was Stalingrad. So that's what it was, the Stalingrad battle. So that was pretty much the point when the war turned back. They surrounded the Sixth Army. It was General Field Marshal Paulus. So that was the first huge defeat of German army. And that's pretty much the furthest point, like Volga River and Caucasian Mountains. That's when they stopped and started pushing back the Germans. Moscow battle was not, they made a huge deal out of it, but wasn't that big. So there's a monument there called Rodina Mать Зовет. So motherland is calling. There's the lady with a sword and kind of like huge monument built right on the bones of Soviet soldiers. They never bothered to recover all those hundreds of thousands that perished defending Stalingrad. But they put the big monument on the top on this. I think it's called Mamayev Kurgan. It was that kind of high point, high hill that everyone was fighting for. So that was number one. Then second one was built in Kiev, and the third one, so that's the also motherland. And I personally think it's one of the ugliest monuments ever. It's the lady holding the sword up in her arms, facing, I believe, facing east for some reason. So she is looking towards Volgograd, and she's holding sword and a shield. And what the weird part is, you hold the shields like this, right? Well, in order to make this thing work, she's holding shield like this, and no one holds shields like that, So it looks dumb, and it has a symbol of the Soviet Union and a sword in the other hand. It was built in 19. So Brezhnev was at power, and during the Brezhnev time, Brezhnev was like really big on this whole World War II. I mean, Great Patriotic War. So that was dedicated maybe 40 years since the beginning of the Great Patriotic War. So they finished in around 1981. They give Kiev became a hero city, and its thing is humongous, like huge. And I think they wanted to make sure it's bigger, taller than the Statue of Liberty. And I personally think it looks out of place. It's right on the banks of Dnieper River, and it has a churches, and what now it's of course has a lot of tall buildings, apart the high rises. Back then, and there's this giant lady standing there, shiny aluminum lady, and she had a nickname Lavrentievna. Personally, I wouldn't waste my money. I would just take down the whole thing. It's just it's such a eyesore symbol of the Soviet. So if you want to get rid of the Soviet symbolism, just take the whole thing down. sell it to the highest bidder and use the money to fight Kremlin. That's what I would do. Instead, they got enough donation to switch on the shield. They're gonna remove the Soviet symbol and they're gonna put the trident. But it's the whole thing. You know, it's kind of horrible comparison, but it's like putting lipstick on a pig. It's still a pig. So putting trident on this Lavrentievna statue, it's still Lavrentievna. It's still symbol of the Soviet. And the third monument is in Berlin, in Treptow Park. That's when the Soviet soldier, people say Russian soldier, is holding a little German girl, and the sword is down. So it's sword from like this in Volgograd to sword like this in Kiev to sword like that in Berlin. So the mission accomplished. But yeah, personally, I'll just get rid of it. But it's me. All right, I have another donation I need to reply. So Aaron, thank you so much for your support. Parking easy in USSR everywhere. Universal Bank and theater. Oh yeah, it's absolutely. When you have hardly any cars, parking was never a problem. Uh, like my apartment buildings, you had one, two, three, four. So we had four paradnas. So you walk in the door, and there's a 9-story high, four apartments each level. So 36 apartments times four. Well, we got about 144 apartments. We had literally enough parking for about 6 cars, and it was always empty, or a couple of cars only sitting there, because they calculated that like 1 in 30 families have a car. So there's one thing I guess you could say about Soviet Union life in the Soviet cities: we never had traffic jam. It was always pretty much. I mean, there's the cars, trucks, but rush hour traffic jams was unknown. Like I didn't lose. I lost a lot of my time and life staying in the lines for groceries or other items, but I didn't lose a single minute in a traffic jam in 20 years in Soviet Union. So that was great. That was definitely uh, it was awesome thing to have. So definitely no traffic issues, and it was not really good parking for like if you go to a lot of stores. You have to park on the street. Whoa. You have to park on the street and walk quite a bit maybe to the store, because it was not designed. Stores were designed for pedestrians, not for the people who come in the cars to shop. So like one of our in Kiev, in my not my neighborhood, but nearby, I made a story about that Universam. You had to walk a lot. You couldn't get to it close. It was, delivery trucks could get to it, but otherwise you need to find park on the street and walk to the store. So yeah. Common people in Kiev love the monument, though. I don't think so. I don't agree with you. I followed that topic. I follow some like Ukrainian news website, and a lot of people just saying take it down. Actually, one of the very first subscribers that I lost, he got very angry when I mentioned that I thinking that the statue should come down, and that was before actually. Yeah, before the 2000, so it's after 2014, but before the actual war, like full blown war began in 2022, I already was talking that that statue, it just way too much. And he got so upset, and I'm subscribed like publicly put the statement because of that, my statement on the statue. As I said, I personally follow and I read comments, and a lot of people saying it needs to be just taken down. Not now, because right now there's more important things to do. But man, being a now Americanized and being a capitalist, I'll just say, hey, put it on eBay, and maybe there's some super rich person out there like Elon Musk who will give $1 billion to buy the whole thing and just come with a big helicopter, pick it up, and take it somewhere. I think it would be the best thing to do. But it's my opinion. Friendship with Sergey is over. Yeah, but this is the thing. I like to see my channel grow, but I'm sorry, I won't be tiptoeing around you guys just because there's some topic that you don't want me to cover, or you don't want me to say the truth, what I think. You know, I have my own opinion, I have my own experience, and it is what it is. It's better to have a bitter truth than sweet lie, right? David commenting, congratulations. I hope you'll reach 100K and beyond. You deliver fascinating facts most Americans never knew. You make amazing videos. So thank you so much. Boy, you love man these compliments. I'm gonna blush. Sure beats watching network TV, and that's a good thing. Thank you so much. So yeah, if people miss Soviet Union, there's quite a few, even in Ukraine. So definitely, yeah, that's one of those symbols, of mighty Soviet Union. So see what else we got. For your comments, we're just starting from the bottom. I'll need to start wrapping up and see because I need to go to work soon. Bloody hell, I thought it was older than that. No, it's actually, I remember when they were building, I don't remember actual construction, but I remember visiting. So, besides that monument, what you need to understand, there's under in the base of it, there's a museum of the Great Patriotic War. So, we had a museum in an old building in Kiev, and I remember going there. And then when they built this statue, so in the base, it's a museum, and it is a statue, and actually had an elevator that you can go up and have a view. I tried to do it with my son when we visited in 2018, but he was too young to use elevator, so then didn't let us. But yeah, there's a museum of the Great Patriotic War in the basement, kind of like basement, I guess, and the statue. And then, of course, there was a big exhibition of tanks of World War II, Great Patriotic War. So it's a big area, huge, and there's other things, kind of trying to trace the whole history of Germans attacking and fighting. So it's a huge monument. It's not just a statue. Question: did you share with the audience the link to read Black on Red free? I shared with one person. I forgot about it, but if you have that link right now, please post it in this comment section. So yeah, guys, I mentioned before, I have someone send me a book, Black on Red, that I can send you if you want to read paper copy. And then there's an actual link on the Internet Archive that you can get access to the book Black on Red free of charge. I need to actually make a post about it. So yeah, it's 1981, so it's 40 years. Soviet Union always liked the round dates, especially when it comes to the Great Patriotic War. And I said Brezhnev really liked to talk about it because he felt like he was bypassed in the whole awards process. So when he became a general secretary, suddenly all his the events that he participated in the Great Patriotic War became like so overblown, like the so-called Malaya Zemlya, a little land that was a small, like a Black Sea Marine operations in Novorossiysk, and that was so blown out of proportion. It sounded like it was bigger than the Stalingrad battle, and they wrote songs. I still remember those songs. Malaya Zemlya, Священная Земля. They started, Novorossiysk built a huge monument, gave more Hero of Soviet Union stars to Brezhnev. Yeah, so Brezhnev liked this whole to bath in this aura of the hero of the Great Patriotic War. I'm okay with Ukraine removing every Russian monument in Ukraine. Well, as I said, it's you know, a lot of it was brought in. Like every town, every almost village in Ukraine would have a Lenin's name. It's like in America, if you go in any town, they'll have a main street. While in Soviet Union, there'll be a Lenin Street or Lenin Square. Like why? But that's was the thing. So all right, okay, guys. So I'll be wrapping up. I want to thank everyone for joining. I want to just make sure that I didn't miss anybody who donated, so I can answer. So I see. I talked, replied about to tutor from Romania that referenced that Romanians I thought about as gypsies, and he just had a he made him giggle. So I appreciate when I can talk to people, and just not to have this hurt feelings. There's a lot of ugly history between many nations, so to keep the grudge, it's not really a productive thing. We just need to learn from it and move on. Okay, so the last questions. How was the social attitude towards Muslims in the Soviet Union during the 70s and 80s? I understand that Ukraine had very few Muslims, but did you ever see any in the Soviet Ukraine? No, I mean, we had a kid from Azerbaijan in my class, and usually you could tell, but no, Armenian. I'm sorry, not Azerbaijan, Armenia. Armenia, they're Christians. So by the last name, you say it says Arutyunyan. If it's a yan in the end, it's Armenian. But we don't have a mosque in Kiev, I don't think. So yeah, that was really that was just kind of Stan country republics issue. We didn't have any problems because Ukraine was pretty much, you know, I don't remember exactly the numbers, 60% Ukrainian nationality, 30% Russians, and then the only actually population that was Muslim in Ukraine at that time it's Crimea, because Crimea originally was populated with Crimean Tatars, and they're Muslim. But then, of course, in 1944, Stalin put them all in trains and sent them to Siberia and Kazakhstan. So for a long time, that's how the Crimea became Russian. Is after they removed everyone who was Crimean Tatars, and Greeks and other nationalities. He just basically like scraped out of population Crimea. And then I'm planning to make video about it. I got found a poster advertising moving to Crimea. So Moscow government, Soviet government was offering perks and free moving services to peasants in Russia to move to Crimea. So they're like, well, you'll get free house. For some reason, there's empty houses in Crimea, and we'll help you to move, and we'll give you a cow, or help you to bring your belongings free of charge, and give you even a little money, and you can enjoy sunny weather. And that's how a lot of Russians actually came to Crimea, is after the genocide was performed on the Crimean Tatars. So before that, it was a Muslim, and Tatars were not allowed to come back even after Stalin death, even after Khrushchev was removed. Brezhnev, Andropov, only Gorbachev. I think it's almost like 1989 or something when Gorbachev signed that Crimean Tatars are allowed to come back to their homeland. And of course, then was a new tension because they coming home and all their places are taken. And like, what are you talking about? I live here forever. My grandparents live here forever. And this town is not called like you call in, whatever the original Tatar name. It's a Zvezdaye now, or Lenin town. So anyways, all right, guys. So, okay, I'll be wrapping up. Thank you so much for joining. Once again, it was fun. 90,000 subscribers. It's awesome. I'm very excited to reach 100,000. So, if you know anybody who's maybe interested in topic of Soviet Union, tell them about it. I hope YouTube will keep recommending my videos, and maybe I'll find some collaboration with some other popular, well, I'm not that popular YouTubers that will get going and get 100,000 sooner than 3 months from now. So once again, thank you so much, and maybe, well, maybe I can wait till million, but I don't think I'll ever reach million subscribers. But that will be definitely, if they'll reach million, this bottle will be gone. But yeah, that's not in my lifetime. 3,000 subscribers a month, and to get 900,000 divided by 3,000, it's 100 months divided by 12. So yeah, well, maybe I'll still be alive, but I long stretch. Anyway, thank you so much for joining, and we'll talk to you soon. До свидания. Goodbye.